on the face of it, Make in India means more manufacturing in India, more jobs in India, which is exactly the mandate on which Prime Minister Modi was elected last year. But in the Western world, that may be seen as a threat in some countries to their own manufacturing industries and their own jobs. My view is that a job to India is not a job lost in the UK, that the UK and India have lots of opportunities to partner through technology, through various other means, through skill development, to ensure that Make in India is a genuine collaboration between the UK and India. The World Bank says that India has a growth trajectory of around 7.5%. The Indian government is looking more at around 8.5%, and there are some economists that are very confident of the Indian economy over the medium to long run, and they're talking about a 10% growth. But if we're anywhere in that sort of zone over a 10 to 12, 15-year period, we are definitely looking at a doubling of the size of the Indian economy, and that's good for India, but it's also good for the world as well, because as the rest of the world is slowing down, having a lot of legacy issues, India needs to grow in order for the other countries to ensure that they also progress as well. But going back to a point you made about Make in India and whether it is a threat to jobs. I would also point to the example of Tata and their acquisition of Jaguar Land Rover. At the time of the acquisition, there were lots of concerns in the UK and other parts of the world that this is the end of Jaguar Land Rover. The Indians will not be able to manage it. They will not be able to manufacture, and if they do manufacture, they will export all the jobs back to India. Far from it. They're now producing better quality cars. It has been in a better shape now than it has ever been. And Tata is now emerged as the largest employer in the manufacturing sector in the UK. That demonstrates that Indians are job makers rather than job takers. And I think from what we've heard from the ministers, Indian ministers today, there is a clear sensitivity to job markets around the world. And it's not, as the Secretary in the Commerce Ministry said, it is not about Indian protectionism. Make in India is about India excelling and helping others in the world also excel at the same time. The World Bank year on year produces a report on ease of doing business, and India has lagged far behind. It was rated 142 last year by the World Bank, and the Prime Minister of India has quite rightly set this as a challenge to sort of bring that down and to make India much more competitive, much easier to do business in and to do business with. And the target is to get India into the top 50. The World Bank are obviously saying that's a very steep order, but the trajectory with which the Indian government is working to is the right trajectory, and the sorts of reforms they're doing in terms of company law, in terms of labour reforms, and indeed in terms of land reforms are all the right steps. So the messages are absolutely right coming from the government of India. They're taking the steps, and you can see, and as you saw today, by the lady that actually signs off on the report, she also felt that the government of India is making the right moves. We're all about real policy discussion from real business people and real policy makers. It's not about marketing, it's not about anything else. It is clearly about articulating the views, the concerns, the aspirations of people that are engaged with India, either through business or through policy or through education, and ensuring that their voice is being heard, and that the world recognizes that India is a country on the move, there is a lot to offer and very little to be frightened of.